So this is some typical interview questions that I put together for the Employability Skills Level 1, and this is for Unit 32 interview skills. So one of the first questions that they tend to ask, which is just a kind of warm-up question, don't let that catch you off guard. And it's a question that quite often they ask at the very beginning just to sort of relax you and to get to know you a little bit. And then that first question is, tell me about yourself. So when they ask this question, they don't really want to know about your personal life. What they're actually asking is, tell me about your work achievements. Tell me about what value you're going to add to the company. So just make sure if you do get asked this, tell me about yourself question, then you need to focus on work-based achievements and skills, and maybe just a little bit of history about what you've done previously that's relevant to the job that you're applying for. So just remember that one. And that's normally a kind of a warm-up question. So I'm going to go into the top 10 questions that I've put together, which will help you to prepare for an interview. So question number 1, why do you want to work here? So with this question, all they're looking for is passion and enthusiasm for the job that you're applying for. So really convince them at this point that you want to work there because you like what they stand for, you like their values, you like their ethos, you like the organisation. Maybe that's what you've always wanted to do, but you've never had the opportunity. And really let them know how much you really want to work there. Question 2. Give me an example of when you have worked successfully in a team before. So this question is what we call a situation, action, result question, or a SAR question. So that's where you have to come up with a scenario that's believable. So something that may have happened in your past. So think about a job that you've done before where you've worked as a team. Why did it work well as a team? What elements were there? And what action were you able to take in order for that team to be successful? I've got a scenario question here. So you could say, while I was working in a warehouse, we received a supplier delivered some goods late, which meant that it was going to get out late to the customers. So one of the things that you could say is, so the action that I took was that I decided that I was going to stay behind a couple of hours after work to help turn these deliveries around. And the result was that there was no complaints from the customers and the customers got their deliveries on time. So the situation was that the suppliers delivered some goods late, which meant that there was going to be a late turnaround whilst you was working in a warehouse. The action you took was that you decided to stay behind late and help get these deliveries out. You worked together with others as a team to get that out, and the result was that the customers got their deliveries on time. And you really don't have to go into too much detail, but really try to think of a situation, an action that you took, and what the end result was. Okay, so question 3. Demonstrate how you've dealt with a conflict situation. And here, this is quite a common question as well, because they want to see how you've dealt with conflict in a past work, not in a personal way, but in a past work situation. So again, it's really a scenario question. So you could look at a situation that you was in. So you could say, when I worked in retail, we had a customer coming in complaining that she wasn't happy with something that she bought. She was shouting and she was making a lot of noise in the shop and disturbing the other customers. That's the situation. What action did you take? So I took her to one side. I managed to calm her down. This is the action that you took now. You took her to one side. You managed to calm her down. I offered a refund or a credit note, and I suggested some items that she might want to buy instead of the item that she bought back. And the result was that she was actually calm. She stopped shouting. She was happy with the new product that she purchased, and she left, and she was and the customer was happy. So when you do a scenario situation, you always make sure that the action that was taken was you, and that the result was that the client or the customer was happy. Okay. So question 4, describe the skill and experience that you have of this kind of work. So again, it doesn't matter if you haven't done that particular job before, but if you think about any skills that you might have that are transferable, so you could say I'm a strong communicator, and this is demonstrated by my previous job where I had to talk in front of groups of people in order to persuade them to use our products. So something like that. So something like communications is a transferable skill. You could say something like working within a team situation. That's a transferable skill. So it doesn't matter if you haven't had that particular skill. If you have, great, use it. But if you haven't, remember to use some transferable skills. So think about similar skills that you've used in a previous job. Could be dealing with customers face to face. It could be dealing with telephone queries. It could be dealing with complaints. Whatever it is, you could use that as a transferable skill in the new job. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you haven't had that particular skill or experience. Okay, question 5. What can you bring to this job? Again, it's very similar to the previous question where it says, why do you want to work here? They want to see dedication, enthusiasm. They want to see that you've had some similar experience. Again, not exactly, it might not be exactly the same experience, but they want to see that you've had some similar experience that you can bring to this job. So, for example, if you've worked with customers face to face in a shop, that means that you could still work with customers face to face in a benefits office or in a job center. It's still the same skills that you need, which are customer service skills. Okay, so they're just looking again to see what you personally can bring to this job over and above what other people can bring. So you need to know at this stage what the skills are that they are looking for, and obviously they're the sorts of skills that you're going to bring in with this question. Okay, question 6, why should I take you on? Because you could say something like, because I'm ready, I'm willing, I'm able, I'd like to take on new challenges, I'm ready to do more, I'm excited to work for your organization. You need to show that excitement and enthusiasm, not only in your voice, but in your body language as well. And if it's a telephone interview, then that also needs to come across in your voice. Number 7, what would you like to be doing in 5 years' time? And I've seen a lot of people answer this question wrongly, because they always say, oh, well, maybe in 5 years' time, I'd like to be working for such and such a company, or in 5 years' time, I might go traveling, or in 5 years' time, I want to set up my own business. That is not the answer that they're looking for. They're looking for somebody who's going to be loyal to the company and who wants to stay and grow within the organization. So make sure that if you get asked this question, that your response is always, I see myself staying and progressing within this company. Okay, question 8. What are your strengths and weaknesses? So your strengths must always be related to the job. You don't need to be, don't exaggerate them too much, because you could get found out eventually. So always sit and think about what your strengths are. And if you're not sure, ask somebody else. Ask somebody who knows you what your strengths are. And then you can bring that to the table. And also try to make sure that your strengths are relevant to what they're asking for in the job. In terms of your weaknesses, always make sure that the weaknesses are not related to your personality or not too closely related to the job. So if it's something that, for example, you could say, I'm sometimes quite shy, and I sometimes don't like to come forward with my new ideas, even though I have lots of ideas. And then you could say, but I've been working on this, and I've been going to a speakers club, or I've been going to certain, I've been doing different trainings, public speaking trainings, or things like that, just to try and build my confidence so that I can speak out a little bit more. So whatever your weakness is, it's not too closely related to the job. It's not a personality trait, and it's always something that you can work on. Okay. Number 9. I think you're overqualified for this job. So why have you applied for this position? So again, You could just say that you've always wanted to work for this company. This is the kind of thing that you have always wanted to do. You fancied a change in direction. Or you could say, I've had a change in circumstances, and you feel that this job is more suitable. All the reasons. Just pick out all the reasons why you want to work there, but showing your passion and your enthusiasm for the job, despite the fact that it may be on a lower grade to what you're used to. But you can also use this opportunity to demonstrate how hard you're willing to work in order to move yourself back up the ladder. But you could just say, but I am so excited, and I'm so enthusiastic and so keen to work in this company that I am prepared to take a lower grade than what I'm qualified to do, just so I can get in. And hopefully after that, I will demonstrate that I will be able to use my qualifications and move myself up. So don't be thrown by that one if you get that one. And number 10, do you have any questions? So I always have a lot of people say, oh no, I don't have any questions. Try and think of at least one question that you could ask at the end of an interview, because this shows how interested you are and how dedicated you are to the organisation. And a good question to ask about is always about training, or you could ask about the setup of the team, or something like that. Don't ask about money, and don't ask about holidays, because that's not really the time and place in an interview to ask about money and holidays. You can always ask about those things later if you get offered the job. But in terms of a question at the end of an interview, try to think of at least one question just to show how sort of engaged and enthusiastic and committed you are to that organisation. And I hope this helps. And see you in the next video.